So in this video, we are going to learn some basic Docker commands, and it will be useful for every Docker beginners. So let's start with our first command, and it's the Docker pull command. So this command will pull the image from the Docker registry. So Docker pull, and here we are going to use Nginx command. So first one, Nginx, the name of image that we're going to pull, and the colon, and then the latest. So latest is the tag that we're going to pull. So basically we are going to pull the latest available image of the Nginx from the Docker registry. Let's pull this. So this command will pull the latest image, available image of the Nginx on our local, and yeah, it's downloading the image. And it's taking some time. Let's wait for it. So downloading is completed. Now it's accepting the images, and now it's completed. So to list out all the available images on your local, you can use command docker images. So it will list out all the available images on your local. Yeah, so these are the images available on your local, and it's showing some details, like we just pull the Nginx images repository. It's Nginx, tag is latest, this is the ID of image, they created 2 days ago, and its size is 142 MB. Okay, so now we have an image, and now we can run a container using this image. So to run a container, what we can do, we can just type the command docker run, and then we can add the name of image that we need to use in this container. So here in our case, we have Nginx. That's the repository name here. Run enter. So it will create a new container, and it will run the Nginx image in that container. So yeah, so this process is started, and here all the logs that we can see here. But there's a one problem. So this command docker run is running the container in foreground. We can't do anything now. We have to stop this container to run some extra commands. So for that, it should run in the background. Okay, let's close this one. Okay, so we run the Docker container in the foreground, and I can't kill simply by Control-C or any shortcuts. So I have to reopen again the command prompt. So let's check how can we list out all the running containers using command. So for this list out all the containers, we can use docker ps command. It will list out all the running containers on the screen. So right now we don't have any running container. Okay, and okay, so let's run a container again. Docker run -t. It should be detachable container. It will run in background, and then Nginx. It's the image that we need to run on the container. So it will create a new container with the image Nginx and will run in background. So when it will start, it will return an ID of that container. Yeah, so it's a start container is started. Let's use again the docker ps command to show the list of available containers. Yeah, so right now we have one container is running. The container is C565C35A. Image that we are using is Nginx, and it is created 70 seconds ago, just now. Up status 15 seconds. The port is 80 TCP. So this port is that where the image Nginx is served. Basically, it is the default port for the Nginx image, and it is some random name of that container. Now we want to use this container Nginx server outside the container. For that, we have to map a external port to this internal port of container. So here internal port is 80 where Nginx image is running. Okay, and to let's run this command again. Docker run -d. D is for attached, detached, running in the foreground. Sorry, running in the background. And then we need to add a port. So -p is for port. We are mapping our container with our external port 8080. It is the host port of our laptop or our computer, and we are mapping this port with the container port of Nginx 80, and we are using the Nginx image. So let's run this command. Okay, so now it's written the ID of the container. Let's see again docker ps command, and yeah, it should return two containers now. So one, yeah. So here we are getting two containers. One is the older one, which is created 2 minutes ago, and the port is 80 TCP, but we can't use it because we don't have any external port mapped with this port, and the name is some random name, elastic. And the second content that I just created is created 18 seconds ago, and there here this port internal port 80 is mapped with the external port 8080, and again the some random name. Okay, so I'm going to open the browser, and let's try this container to run on the browser. Okay, so I think you can see the browser screen. Here is my browser, and I am typed the 8080, hitting here. Yeah, so here we can see the Nginx page. So here we are running the container on the port 8080, which is the external port of our laptop. Basically, it's a host port that mapped with the container port of 80. Okay, so now it's running. Let's back on the command prompt. Okay, so here we are again on the command prompt. Okay, so one thing is here the name. Name is right now we are getting name as a random string. So we can also add a name here. It's very useful when we need to start or stop the container. Basically, we can to start a container or to stop a container, either we can use the ID of a container or we can use names. But ID, remembering the ID is not easy task. So we can use the name. It's the easier one. So for that, let's create a new container using docker run command. It should be run in the background using -d. The port should be 8081 because we are already using 8080. So it's not available. We are using now 8081. That will map with the internal port 80. And then we need to add a name. So for simply for this container, we can use Nginx container. It's the name, and then name of the image, Nginx. Let's run it. It's running now. Let's again docker ps command and check the name and the port of this newly created container. Yeah, so we just created container is this image Nginx created 12 seconds ago. The status is up 10 seconds away, and the port number is 8081, that new port, and the name of the container is the let's zoom a little bit. Yeah, name of the container is the Nginx container that we created. Okay, so again, let's open our browser and try to run this on 8081 and see if it's available or not. Okay, so this one is the 8080 port that we created the container. Let's try this again. It's working. And now the second container is running on the 8081. Yeah, it's working as well. So we learned as far that how to pull an image from the Docker registry, how to list out all the available images using Docker images command. Then we run it. Basically, we run a container, create a new container, and run an image in that container using Docker run command in detachable mode in the background using -t. We bind a host port with the internal port of the container using -p command option -p, then host port colon the internal port of container, and then we also add a name using minus name option, name of the container that is useful when we need to stop or need to restart a container. Okay, so right now we have three containers, and first two is mapped with the host port, and we can access all these first two containers, but third container is not mapped, so we can't use it. So let's try to stop this container and how we can stop. So to stop a container, we can use command docker stop, and then either we can use the name, this name, or we can use the ID. So let's use the ID this time. Then later we can also use try with the name. So docker stop, then the container ID. Stop. Okay, let's see all the running container again. And now it should return two containers. Yeah, so here we have only two container. Okay, so let's docker stop. This time we are going to use the name of the container. So this one is the randomly generated name that we are going to use. So now this container should stop and it should not be available on port number 8080. Let's see. Uh, it's taking time. Yeah, so let's see again docker ps command, and should return only one container, because right now we have only one container which is running on the port 8081. Okay, let's check our browser if it's still running or not on 8080 port that we just stopped. Okay, so this 8081 container is still running. If we refresh the page, yeah, it's working fine. And this 8080, I just stop this container, so if we refresh should not work. So I refresh the container and yeah, it's not working. Okay, now go back to command prompt again, and this time we are going to restart the R container. So okay, so before going to restart, so for restart a container again, we need either a name or a container ID. So but we don't have anything, we don't have any container detail right now. So for that, we need to list all the containers, detail of all the containers, whether it is running or it is stopped. So for that, we can use command docker ps and -a. It will return all the available containers, whether it is stopped or running. So it should return three containers. Yeah, we have actually four container actually, because initially we created some other containers that existed without. Okay, so we get the 4 container, 3 we just created and 1 is we created before this tutorial that try to run in the foreground. Okay, so now we are going to restart the container. Yeah, this container. Docker start and container name and the. So this container we just stopped, and this container is not mapped with any port right now because this what it was stopped. Now we again restart this container. Let's see again with docker ps -a command. It should return 4 containers, but this time 2 containers should have mapped with the port. Yeah. So here this container is running again with the port 8080. Let's move on the browser. Now the R should run again. So yeah, I think it's already running 8080. Okay, I think it's working fine. Okay, go back to command prompt again. So what we learned, how to start a container, how to stop a container using container ID or container name, and how to list out all the containers using command docker ps -a. It will list out all the container whether it is running or stopped. Okay, and okay, so everything is running. Now try to delete some container. So for delete a container, we can use command docker remove and container ID or container name. First try with container ID. Yeah, it's removed. Let's again check the list of containers. Now it should be 3. Yeah, it's 3. Okay, again try to remove a container using name this time. So these containers are already stopped that we are going to delete. Yeah, this is also delete. So let's again check the list. It should be 2 now. Okay, so now it is 2 and both containers are in next state. So if we use only the docker ps command, it should return 2 containers. So here we have only 2 containers and both are running. So we can use either docker ps or docker ps -a. Okay, so now try to remove this container, docker remove and this. Okay, let's see what happened. Oh, okay, so this time we get an error. So what error? Error response from demo. You can't remove a running container. So this container is already running, so we can't remove this. Okay, so for that, first we need to stop this container using docker stop command and then the name of the container. So this command will stop the running container and Nginx container. Yeah, this command is, and for just verify purpose, we can also check that this container which is running on the 8081 port should be stopped and it should come without any port. Yeah, it is coming without any port and we can now remove this container easily. Yeah, this container is removed. Let's check again with docker ps -a command. It should return only 1 container and this container is already running in the and binding with the 8080 port. Yeah. Okay, so how can we so how can we remove this container, basically the running container? So if we try to remove this container, it will give us an error. So for that, we can forcefully remove this container using -f command. So docker remove rm -f and then container name. Okay. Okay, so it's remove. I think let's check it again using docker ps -a command. Okay, so now we don't have any container, but we still have a image. Let's check that image. Yeah, this image still have. So to remove this image, we can use a command docker image remove and the name of the image Nginx. So it should remove this image from here. Yeah. And now let's list out all the images using command docker images. Okay, so we don't have any images right now. We don't have any containers. Okay, so here what we do here, we pull a image Nginx using docker pull command. Then we create a container using docker run command in a background mode using -d command. We added name using tag minus name. We added name to the container. Then we bind that container to a host port using -p. Then we add a pass a name of the image that we want to run on that we want to run on that container. And then we also try to remove a container, remove my image, forcefully remove a container. Then we also stop a container or restart a container using docker stop and docker start commands. Okay, so right now we don't have a container on our local, we don't have any image on our local. So what if I want to directly run a container without pulling a new image on our local? Okay, let's try this. Docker. So I'm going to run a container in background mode. The port will be 8080, the host port that will bind with the container port 80. It's a default for the Nginx. Let's add a name here. Name should, let's the just add the container Nginx, then the image that we want to run Nginx and with the latest tag. So let's see what will happen here. Okay, so first we don't have any, so right now we don't have any Nginx image on our local, so it's trying to find this image on our local but unable to find it. So now it's pulling this image from the pulling from Nginx library Nginx from the Docker registry, and then it will create a container. It will run this image on that container in background mode with the port 8080 and the name container Nginx. Okay, let's see. It's completed, downloaded. So here it's downloaded new image for Nginx. Now first check with the images we have or not using docker images command. So it will list out all the available images on our local. Yes, we have. Now check the container using docker ps command. It will list out all the running container on our local. Yes, we have, and this container is the container Nginx and binded with the 8080. Okay, so let's open the browser once again and check if it's running or not. Okay, so we already, okay, let's refresh the page. Yeah, it's working. And next one is the 8081. We already removed this container, so it should not work. Yes, it's not working. So I think we learned some useful and some basic Docker commands, and hopefully it will be useful for you as well. And in next video, we will maybe we can check how can we deploy our web application, maybe React or Angular, and using Docker, or how can we build our own images. So here in this video, we are using Nginx image. It's not our own image. So in next video, we can create our own image, and using a React or maybe Angular web application, we will try to run that uh, our web application image using Docker. And let's see, wait for the second video. Okay, bye.